Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Sharya Madhyamam Azmada Sharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Vishwaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Yomavda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Tava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshimaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. We have seen in our last class the verse 19. I'm gonna just make a context here or connection here with our previous class on page 1579. I'm going to go very fast. I just want to read the 19th verse on this chapter 8. On the arrival of the night of Brahman, the very same multitude of beings merged, having emerged again and again. So, on the arrival of the day of Brahman, everything emerged back again helplessly. So he pointed out to the fact that all of this is built into the design of this cyclical projection of disappearant reality. So it all belongs to Ishvara jurisdiction. Jivas have no say. Helplessly, they have to submit to day and night, to the three states, and to the creation and to the removal or recollection or pralayan. So, and everything appears and disappears. And how about the jivas? So the jiva, it seems a very, very, very tyrannical system in which the jivas have no say. The jivas are there, and then Maheshwara says, time is over, let's put everyone to sleep. I mean, you cannot say, no, I want to finish a little thing here, give them a moment. No, everybody goes helplessly, and everybody comes back from where we stopped. And the same Vasana load is going to be shaping the new cosmos. Now, so unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest. There is a time built into this process, and then we have seen in our last class the concept of Kalan, time, as originating from these yugas, because it's a huge time compared to our linear human perception of time. So there is a time. So it goes to sleep. There is a time built into that, and then it projects itself. When it becomes matter, it still is identical to causal subtle matter. Okay, so physical matter, subtle matter, causal matter, it's all matter, it's all energy. But once it becomes materialized as our Vyavaharika, and then it becomes very clear for us that everything is under the tyranny of Kalan, because every configuration, it evolves and involves, decays, and then disappears. The suns, the galaxies, and the entire cosmos is said to have an end. It's Swami mentioned something similar to hibernation, when everything goes into pralaya until the next Shristi comes, the next beginning comes, the next origination of disappearant order. And then we saw a concept very, very nicely about the situation of demographic explosion, many people. And then Swami explained a different angle, something very nice that he heard from Swami Shimaya, that was saying, so how many jivas are in this planet? I mean, we know how many humans, but how many jivas? There are all kinds of life forms, jivas, responding to their own environment, sensitive or sentient beings. So in that process, a lot of people are just moving from being an insect, for example, or here a mammal, or anything else, and into human births. And some human births go back to the animal births as well. Everything is possible. No, it's a flow according to our scriptures. And not to say, not having to go into the concept that other souls from different, let's say, planets. I don't know any of that, but I don't exclude those possibilities. Any other souls from different dimensions, different planets, they just decide to come and get a birth here as well. I mean, we cannot challenge God's intelligence in the design with small defects, criticism about how to explain, the population, how many jivas. So that's not possible. Ishvara may be has a factor creating new jiva. No, jiva is beginningless and endless. I mean, the individual jiva puts an end according to our scriptures by getting self-knowledge and moksha. But besides that, it's just a beginningless and almost endless appearance projection that gives us a sense of reality, first one, and then time, because everything that's created begins decay to be destroyed. We have seen that as well. Bhagwan has Bhagwan cannot really decide anything, and that's why I like to present Bhagwan as a system, an intelligent system, because who has created this universe and all the jivas? So no, it's just a system. One does not have any deliberate desire or to create this universe. It comes together with Jagata and Jiva. Shwara, Jiva, Jagat, they come together. It's a system controlled by the intelligent, the intelligent cause of it, which is pure Sattva Guna, which is an aspect of Maya, guna of Maya, superimposed upon consciousness to produce the Lord of the entire cosmos. Okay. And then we came to the verse 20. However, beyond the unmanifest, there is another unmanifest being which is eternal. It does not perish when all be. So we have been so far comparing, looking at human jiva's goals in life. We have the four human pursuits, artha, karma, dharma, and moksha. Very rarely somebody develops a desire for liberation, which depends upon self-knowledge. But we have seen that artha, karma, dharma they are always going to produce finite and limited results. Okay, and ultimately we get some celestial lockers available, which supposedly you're going to enjoy extreme pleasant punyas and so on. But the point is that everything is time bound, everything is impermanent, everything is perishable. Okay, even if we go to a realm in which we live hundreds or thousands of years, there is an end to anything that began. Everything that begins goes through a process by which it ends. So the person pursuing the desire for self-knowledge and notion, they want to have that which is imperishable, that which is beyond permanent and impermanent, beyond limited and unlimited. It's beyond everything contained within time and space. So I want that which is the substratum of space and time, because I understood that is the true nature of reality. It must be my true nature, the true nature of my conscious existence. However, beyond the unmanifest, there is this unmanifest being, or entity or principle, which is eternal as well. It's beyond eternity, it's not perishable. When all configurations produced by Maheshwara are limited, time-bound, and therefore perishable. So up to the previous verse, Krishna was talking about any and all finite results. Everything within time and space is going to produce finite results. If we want to acknowledge and claim something within my human existence and experience, if I want to claim something which is infinite and imperishable, so I will have to go into the Upanishads under the guidance of the scriptures and the guru, work on it to discover my true nature as this imperishable principle, which is beyond manifest and beyond unmanifest. It's beyond matter, subtle energy, and causal energy. It's beyond the three worlds, the three states, beyond all lokas, intermediary lokas, and so on. So everything is matter, energy, subtle energy, causal energy, and we have seen, and taking the parallel of the scientific understanding of the law of conservation, that nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. Destruction is just a change, in information configuration. It's something that was materially expressed, now went back to its energetic configuration, energetic nature, and the simple example is physical liquid water becoming vapor, or steam, and we see that in our day-to-day experience. The oceans, the water of the ocean partially turns into steam and then cloud formation, and then it seems that we don't see the ocean lose anything, because the ocean is so huge. That's why it's a beautiful symbol of Purna, and nothing affects. So no evaporation of its waters is going to affect its fullness, and no arrival of waters from the mountains or from the rivers or from the rains are going to affect its fullness. Okay, it's always the same. So we see that water, vapor comes to water, and vapor is something very subtle, but we are talking about something much more subtle. Vapor and water is just a gross analogy so that we can understand this teaching. So we are talking about physical material matter, energy grossified as matter, going into the subtle and going into its causal condition. So nothing is ever lost. It's a cycle of continuous change in the formation of the gunas of Maya, manifesting on different levels. Okay, so we have in simple words manifest matter and unmanifest matter. We can say manifest matter and manifest subtle matter and unmanifest matter altogether, which we could say causal matter. The seed, the potential latently there in the prakrithi of Maya. So all of that is otherwise called Maya. Maya becomes the world, and the world becomes Maya. Maya is also was present as kalan or time. Maya, and both of them exist within time and Krishna. And Krishna says there is another thing which is beyond all of that. So we are here to realize and claim this other principle, which is beyond the three worlds, in all dimensions, in all, subtle dimensions, celestial dimensions, interdimensions. Here, Swami says that Krishna, it was Shankaracharya present the concept of unmanifest number one and unmanifest number two, but it means to say that there is the unmanifest prakrithi of Maya, there is the manifest prakrithi of Maya as the cosmos, and there is something beyond the manifest and unmanifest. Therefore, I prefer not to use these symbols such as number 1 and number 2, unmanifest.
Yeah.
If you have to understand these, we can make use of our own daily experience of the three states. We have seen that. We see that again and again in our class. The physical material world conditioned by time and space, I am experiencing it during the waking state. In the dream state also, there is a world which is still governed by time. The scale of time there is very different. It's just like boom, 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 very fast, fleeting image, giving us a sense of duality and the experience. But it's not really properly structured in a way that we can gain conscious knowledge through those interactions. So when we go into deep sleep, it's a totally different play. The whole material world and the subtle world of our dreams is resolved, and time and space is resolved into the unmanifest condition. So there is total blankness, but even at that, there is something, some awareness, which is not really affected by that, and by which we know that there is a state in which there is total blankness, total absence of duality. There is something within even our human experience that can capture and register those experiences, so-called referred to often as blankness or nothingness or void. So there is something within our human experience that allows us to recognize and refer to that as ananda maya kosha. Why? Because we say it was great. So you cannot say something is great unless you have been in touch with it, unless you have experienced and known that. So who is aware of these things? Consciousness is aware. I am aware because I am consciousness. When I'm awake, when I wake up, I'm able to talk about the so-called void or blank state. I really enjoyed it. So I must be the unchanging principle that can capture all change in this human realm of experience. Even when the duality came and the duality resolved, I am reminded, unaffected by that. I remained unaffected by that. So this observer of the matter, this observer of the change is changeless consciousness, as we know. It's beyond time and space. It's beyond the mind. It's not the mind is the key point here. People superimpose the mind, and the subtler the mind becomes, it's more easily one is deceived to superimpose a subtle intellect, a subtle mind into consciousness to say, this is it. Okay. Oh, it is incredibly sattvic mind, human consciousness, this incredible sattvic human consciousness that provides me with this wonderful spiritual, mystical experience, and travels and so on. So this is reality. This is the ultimate God, the ultimate consciousness. No, it is not. Not even Ishvara. Ishvara being pure sattva guna, having total knowledge, total intelligence. And he could develop a superego and say, I am the ultimate reality, okay? Because I am omniscient, omnipresent, I am the entire knowledge. And fortunately, the design of these three pillars of Mitya is such that that knowledge knows everything about Mitya, but he knows his nature in such. Otherwise, God would be the superego of Mitya. But since he knows his nature in Satya, as consciousness, he's said to be self-conscious and conscious of everything in regards to this apparent order referred to as Mitya. Consciousness does not fall within time and space. So in time and space, we can observe that there are laws governing all phenomena appearing within time and space. So there are laws, the most common are the physical and chemical laws, but there are some other laws that belong to the subtle realm, which is the moral, ethic, and psychological, or even karmic and spiritual laws. So there are some very subtle laws that somehow govern the human experience. And if they are properly observed, we have a good time here and we grow. If they are not observed, if we observe only some of these chemical and physical laws, being a scientific oriented mind, we are going to ignore these subtle laws, and we are not going to have a good time. So, and then here some says that scientists are struggling trying to understand God or consciousness because they are trying to find attributes which are inherent to chemistry and physics. No? And there is nothing they can get from consciousness because, as we know, consciousness is free from any of these attributes of physical, chemical attributes. So, but they want to find the God particle in nature, but they cannot conceive something which has no qualities, attributes, or characteristics, as physical and chemical aspects. They are not able to get head or tail. What is this expression? I want to ask you, get head or tail.
It means basically they're not able to understand in any way, not either from the head or from the tail. It's like beyond them.
Yeah, I was imagining something like that. First time I remember seeing this expression. Some of the scientists have already started saying that consciousness must be something beyond, time and space, beyond the physical laws, chemical laws, and beyond even location, beyond the space. Consciousness cannot be located, and therefore it's beyond time as well. Why it cannot be located? Wherever exists within space can be located. So it's unlocatable consciousness, and timeless consciousness or beyond time consciousness. And we are talking about our very nature, which needs to be recognized and claimed so that we can offset the sense of limitation, vulnerability, and incompletion inherent to our human nature. So we need to tap into our superior, real, true nature as consciousness to offset those downfalls, those downsides of a human experience. That's all there is to Jiva Mukta concept. You offset those aspects inherent to every human experience, limitation by time, limitation of space, limitation of having attributes that are never completely satisfying, and so on. So, and what is this unlocated consciousness? This consciousness is the witness of everything, of the three states. So Krishna points out that witness consciousness is God. This is a key point in Vedanta that most people do not relate much because they're interested to become spiritual but not religious. They throw God off the window, and it's like throwing the baby with the bathwater. Water. And here we say that this witness consciousness is God. If you want to know the nature of consciousness, you better go by inquiring to the nature of God. And it begins from Saguna God to move into Nirguna God, which is called para prakrithi, was referred to as para prakrithi in the 7th chapter. And as we have seen, there are various namarupas referring to Saguna God, God with attributes of Maya. God with the attributes of Maya. Yesterday, by chance, it came up a conversation between myself and my son. I realized that he's picking up certain materialistic views, although he's part of a church, he goes to the church and so on. But he's being a little bit impacted by notions, atheistic notions, I would say, And we were having a good conversation, and he was trying to explain his understanding of God. And then there was a point that I was trying to present the vision of the nature of God according to our scriptures. And then he starts saying, no, but God is much more than all of that. I said, of course. So there are two natures. God has two natures. Now, one is a nature which is with attributes and qualities. Therefore, he becomes a creator because he has all the knowledge and blah, blah, blah. And there is another one which is consciousness, which is the nature of the universe, the nature of the observer of the universe. And that, of course, at that point, I lost him, because, not only his understanding of the nature of God, of Saguna nature of God was confusing, and but also people in general cannot understand the nature of attributeless Brahman. It's very rare someone to consider that there is the ultimate God is free from any and all attributes of Maya. Is the subtlest concept of God. And if the mind is still dense, gross, unprepared, immature, and unsensitized, and so on, this mind cannot appreciate the nirguna subtlest aspect that God as non-dual consciousness, the only consciousness there is. Human intellect cannot conceive of something which is beyond time and space. That is the trouble with the scientific communities. A lot of high IQ people trying to explore the nature of Jagata, coming to a point that they want to go all the way down to the bottom to find, the origin of the universe. But they cannot do that because within time and space, they will never find the true nature of consciousness. They try to understand consciousness, but they will never understand consciousness because they are looking at the wrong place. You need a different pramana. This pramana is the teachings of the Upanishads that reveals to us something that quantum physics. I forgot how to say. I have been speaking physica quantica since for long. Quantum physics.
So, quantum in English, quantum physics.
Yeah. So they have been playing with this understanding that the observer, is something that observes phenomena and interacts with phenomena, even influence the behavior of phenomena. But they cannot go much beyond that to understand that the true nature of the observer is consciousness, and consciousness does not change. It's just an interaction between the subtle, the mind, and the gross physical phenomenal objects of this world. So the mind needs to be so prepared to have an understanding of the attributeless nature of God, something without form and characteristic. Therefore, now we say God is Krishna and so on. So here Swam says, Krishna is trying to say, hey Arjuna, I want you to discover the true nature of God. And he is putting like oneness with God. Okay, and so the whole thing about love to God as the proper mood of called devotion, this sentiment of love and devotion towards God, is dualistic by nature. So, and then he brings here this word oneness with this God. So, what is oneness? I want you to discover oneness with God. I want you to discover that God is your very nature, Arjuna. Understand? Because God is but conscious existence, the only reality. Is one without a second, and everything is it. Therefore, you are it, and you just need to understand this simple truth. That is the aim of all our teachings. So the effort of all religious and spiritual struggle is what? Is to understand the nature of God. Most religions do not help anybody to understand the true nature of God, do not help anybody to understand the oneness of the Jivatma with God, but some spiritual teachings such as Vedanta helps us to help us to understand our oneness with God as consciousness, our true nature. So how is Arjuna going to understand that? It's going to take the several other chapters until the 18th, until Arjuna has fully assimilated the teachings. No? So there is something else between these finite three realms of Mithya. The third principal entity is consciousness or Brahman. Beyond the manifest, beyond the unmanifest, we have seen that. Therefore, any matter is affected by time. Consciousness is the only thing free and independent from time. So this consciousness is our very nature, and we need to contemplate on this long and long enough or deeply enough until we realize, that consciousness does not change, and we are this consciousness that can witness the change. Change is another way to understand time, as we have seen. So you're gonna witness everything that is changing. Oh, but my mind is changed, but you need to go and see what is the true nature of the mind. So once you understand the true nature as unchanging consciousness, the witnessing non-experience principle entity, and then you have gone beyond all these finite identities that we established due to association with the phenomenal world designed by the gunas of Maya. Consciousness, the only thing beyond Kala and time, is witnessing all the change. And that is the ultimate change, when something that was put together is just destroyed. The arrival of time is witnessed by consciousness, the dissolution of time, such as the moment of deep sleep. There was a time that I was trying to catch the moment deep sleep would just come. But one can never really get that, because you remain there trying to witness the arrival of deep sleep, because I am consciousness, I want to witness the change. Experientially, I want to witness when the deep sleep comes. So what happens is when I move into the awakened state to the deep sleep state, I use another body. So I leave my Vishwa body and I take the prana body. And the prana body is absolutely unconscious. Or unconscious, or it has nothing to witness at all, There is no duality, there is no tangible objects of experience there. So therefore, we always fail trying to experientially witness the moment, the transition between awake state and deep sleep. This consciousness, which is not an experiencing entity, is not affected by time. It's timeless, it's mortal, it's infinite, and it is beyond manifest and unmanifest, and unlocated. What was the other experience? And the other word used? Imperishable. Imperishable. A lot of words pointing to the fact that nothing governed by time and space affects consciousness. The consciousness is beyond all of that. Okay, I moved my page here now. A third one is consciousness, beyond manifest and manifest. Yeah. So that's the goal of all religious and spiritual science. I like to present spirituality as the science of consciousness, the science of God, or the science of Nitya, the science that allows us to understand the nature of God and the nature of the relationship Jivatma and Ishwara within Jagata. Consciousness is the only one, the witnessing non-experience entity principle. It's not perishable, means to say never goes back to the unmanifest condition because it's beyond the causal body. That is, where is it located? This consciousness, if it's not located in the three orders, causal, subtle, and physical material. So where is this consciousness located? So this is another pointer. It's unlocatable. You will never find it because it is beyond time and space. And here Swami reminds us of a concept that it's mind blogging. There was another expression when I was living. Mind, what is the other one?
Well, there's mind-boggling.
Okay.
Mind-boggling, very similar. I think he's trying to say that here, but he's misspelt it.
Okay. Yeah, mind-boggling, yeah. Okay, that's what it is. That's why I got confused. So there is another one that I think I was more in contact, mind-blowing. You remember this one? Okay. In fact, we go one step further. When we talk about the location of consciousness, so Vedanta, the Upanishad, goes one step further, which is mind-boggling. It says time and space. Consciousness is not located within time and space. Time and space is located within consciousness. And then people say, oh my God, now I lost you and you lost me. So how you going to explain this to people? Like for a moment, I got myself in trouble yesterday in the kitchen of my son. I said, oh my God, why I began this conversation? Because now I'm losing him, he's losing me. We lost the bridge because how are you going to explain that to people? The intellect is not prepared to conceive something such as space and time within consciousness, the only reality. It means the consciousness, when we say everything is located within consciousness, this is a good point here, that all we want to do with that pointer, okay? Because consciousness is not located anywhere, and consciousness is not space. We say it's space-like. Space accommodation, accommodate location, everything in the cosmos. But consciousness is space-like in analogy. So in reality, time and space and everything within that is not really located in consciousness. We say that just to make a clear point that consciousness is not located in time and space. You understand? When we say that, everything is more like we see in consciousness. Okay? And it means to say consciousness is not located in space, time. That is the meaning of this Vedantic statement. Anything from you guys?
I remember once trying to explain this concept to somebody about the location, everything being located in consciousness. And he was a Christian and he was talking about this particular church. And I said to him, but where is the church? And he said, it's in this particular village. And I said, but where is this particular village? And finally, we came to the point where he couldn't deny that it was just an appearance in his consciousness, in consciousness totally.
Very beautiful, yeah.
Everything was an appearance in consciousness.
Location of Jagat, location of the objects, teaching, yeah. So, but he was an intelligent and sincere, honest person to accept that, to accept the logic behind that. But at the same time, people tend to say, okay, but that does not explain what is consciousness, you know?
I remember that beautiful, very short saying in the Gita, they are not in me, I am not in them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been some time on that one.
Yeah. It says, it's related to what we are saying here, what I was just saying. It's just two different orders that never cross. It appears that Satya is just pervading and sustaining Mithya, but since Mithya is an unreal projection, so Satya does not really meet with Mithya at all. So where is consciousness? Where is God? You know, there is no answer because the very question is based on misconception that God is something located somewhere in space. Now he's talking about space that we say. Consciousness is present in analogy, space-like consciousness, but it's just another example, another analogy, which has its limitation and the facts, as we know. So it cannot be answered because it is location in time. God is not locating time, so we'll never get to understand the location of God. God is not anywhere, or you can say God is everywhere. So from the standpoint of Nirguna, God, we may say God is nowhere or now here. So, or you think God is everywhere now here, meaning to say that the entire phenomenal world, you know, of apparent universe is just a superimposition upon consciousness. But it does not touch, does not affect, because it's not really real. In the field of God, even cause-effect concept does not enter. It's beyond causality, as we know, beyond karma, beyond thoughts, words, and deeds producing paravadas, beyond all of that. All these questions can be answered only with regards to one thing, which is time, space, and karma or causality. Okay? So when you ask in terms of God and its location, especially, you know, and its origination and so on, it's just a question coming from a total identification or narrow mind person believing that God is something that exists within time and space and causality. Nirguna God, more precisely, because as we know, Saguna God, as Ishwara, is within limitation, it's infinite, it's within time, as we have seen again and again in this Gita. Krishna does not dwell upon this topic right now. If you want to dwell or look into this, you have to go to the Upanishads. Upanishads enjoy dwelling on this topic, the true nature of Nirguna God. Gita is supposed to be a diluted subject matter, and therefore this super subtler topic, such as the attributeless nature of Nirguna God, is just touched here and there, but not profoundly analyzed, such as in the Upanishad. If you remember Katha Upanishad, definition of Brahman, Brahman is defined as beyond karma, beyond causality. Brahman is not a joke, and we have to go to that Brahman, what he's saying there. So Brahman is not a joke, and we have to go to the Brahman. When we say you must go to Brahman, we fall into another problem, because to go to Brahman, you don't involve time, space, and travel. Go to Brahman is understand that Brahman is your intrinsic true nature, the nature of everything, the only reality. Therefore, you don't need to go anywhere to claim your knowledge, understanding, which is only possible as Aham Brahmasmi. You don't need to go anywhere. You need to go and do things to prepare the mind for this final understanding. So all the Vedantic words are problematic as well, and we have to be so careful. That's why we need a guru. Otherwise, we get trapped by these words, which are defect in describing the true nature of God. It's going to appear as so many contradictions. The human intellect and the knowledge obtained through words. The words define dualistic experience that transformed in certain knowledge, which depends on the gunas of Mayas to be identified and known. Not to say that most human knowledge needs constant revision, but anyhow, the human intellect can only function in this realm of time and space, and what happens, we see projections of the gunas of Maya. And that's why we say it is a matter to be understood. It's a matter to be understood. So the words of Vedanta, they are often present as pramana, a means by which you understand something which is not within time and space. Okay, and the words are going to reveal it, but the revelation of this as our true nature is not. It does not go about describing. It's not by description of what it is, the Nirguna Brahman. You can never describe Nirguna Brahman. So that's why it's an indirect kind of process. That Brahman, at the very end of this process, is clearly revealed to the degree that I have cancelled all these mistaken notions of Brahman within time and space. Brahman is something other than myself that I have to reach. So all these notions, they have to be deconstructed. And then when you see Brahman is revealed as your very nature, intrinsic nature, but it's never described directly as this or that. It's impossible because, as we know, we have no gunas, no? Configuring Brahman so that we can. At the most, we say Satchitananda is the existence of everything that exists in this appearing order, is the consciousness which shines in all jivas, now producing sentient beings, and the nature of this consciousness existence is one without a second. That's all we have to say. And these are not attributes. The nature, even that is going to be given away in the end. Yeah? Ajaropa apavada. You just reject that in the end, and then in the end, you can only say what? I know Brahman as my very conscious existence, but I don't know what Brahman is. But I can identify it and claim it as the conscious existence, the existence of everyone, the mineral, vegetal, and animal realm. Everything is Brahman, but this Brahman can be recognized in the human birth, yeah? As a conscious understanding, direct understanding of everything's nature as limitless, one without a second, conscious existence. The manifest being is said to be imperishable. The scriptures declare that this being to be the supreme goal of all our births. That is the supreme abode of mind, attaining which they do not return to duality. So that is the implicit meaning. They do not return to what? To the unmanifest and manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. We see that during our day. Oh, I manifest at 6 in the morning, at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and then I went into the unmanifest at 9 or 10 in the evening. So they do not come, they don't return to this eternal cycle, unmanifest to manifest, going through the three states, of course. So there is no return. That's the promise of the scriptures. This is the supreme goal of every complex organism, such as the human body-mind complex in this planet. So says the scripture, and it makes total sense to me. I don't know about you guys, because it comes a point that you understand life is just a play, and sooner or later, every child gets tired of playing with toys, and then the child wants to know things, and the child ultimately matures to become a mumukshudva, and then it wants to know the true nature of reality. Once the true nature of reality is known, and then one is no longer deceived to want more and more and more of Artha Kama Dhamma. They want to have that which is infinite, my nature, and we get that by jnana. The manifest being said to be imperishable beyond time and space. This is the supreme goal. This is the other point. And this is my abode. Once you attain me, by understand that there is no separation between you and me, you will never return. So the ocean or the wave will never have any need to identify again with the wave and feel limited by time and space with a lot of sense of inadequacy and so on. Oh, look at that wave. It's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. Look at myself. And I'm already reaching there. And I'm going to be crashed against the rocks and so on. So once you the wave gets the clear understanding that I am even in my true nature, I am beyond ocean, I am water, the true nature of the ocean as well. There is no separation between water, wave, and ocean. Water, ocean, and wave, there is no separation. There is only one thing. One is the true nature of the ocean and the wave, and that true nature is water. So the ocean and the wave depends on the water. The water is free and independent of the ocean and the wave. Once that is achieved, that supreme understand, that supreme goal understood, the wave will never fall for misidentification as the wave. And sometimes they trip, they believe that now I'm the ocean, which is enlightenment sickness. Krishna talks more about God, the true nirguna, limitless goal of every human being, the real goal. And so I may use an interesting passage here, which is worth attempting. Yeah? It's worth attempting. I mean, the individual jiva is totally helpless about that. The Ishvara system is going to put someone in a condition. It appears to be like the Ishvara system a lot of the time seems to be overriding our free will because we don't have the picture, the entire picture, you know. So I have no saying here. I'm compelled to go to India and study and meditate and trying to seek and search enlightenment, the true nature of reality, and so on. It's beyond me. Yeah? So it's worth attempting, but this mumukshutva, this desire to attempt this ultimate goal, it's something part of the Ishvara system, but it's direct connected with the individual soul's efforts that goes back to many lifetimes trying to get out, trying to overcome the problem of samsara. So it is worth attempting. Consciousness principle, this consciousness or Chaitanya, also known in the scriptures as aksharaha, imperishable, unlocated, actionless, timeless. Imperishable does not mean it remains timeless. Imperishable does not mean it remains in time permanently. So imperishable does not mean that it remains in time as, let's say, not even God, as we know. Vivid and things we know, not even God is free from manifestation and unmanifestation. Imperishable does not mean that it remains in the time-space permanent. Imperishable means it's something beyond, which remains as the substratum of what is created and destroyed. Imperishable means it is timeless, beyond time and space. You cannot define it in terms of time. You cannot describe it in terms of space. In Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, what is the definition of that consciousness? In Mundaka, Akshara Ityukataha. What is the definition of consciousness? No, a lot of Sanskrit here. It's called, colorless, formless, smellless, so beyond the five senses and the mind. So five senses can never access consciousness because consciousness does not have any attributes developed from the five senses. Arjuna, you must make an attempt to accomplish this goal. This is the reason for me coming here to teach you. You need to transcend time and space, realizing your true nature, which is free from that. Your unlocated nature. Then you are within space, whether you call it Vaikuntha, whether you call it Brahmaloka, you have a concept, particular place within space. Therefore, time, therefore, it cannot be called liberation. Liberation is going beyond time and space, as we know. That's why we say liberation. There's nothing to do with traveling to any place. It's nothing to do with change your life circumstance. You know, I'm free now. Why? Oh, I somehow I got a heritage and I have $5 million in my bank account. Now I'm totally liberated. No, there's nothing to do with your prarabdha. It means that consciousness is not in any place and it's not located in any circumstance of your life. What is then liberation? Liberation is knowing Aham Brahmasmi. It's not going to Brahman, but it's understand that Brahman is my very nature. Don't say I'm going to Brahman because some Swamiji is going to say no, no, no. That is considered to be the ultimate destination, understanding that Brahman is your very nature as conscious existence. Reaching one does not return. Let's see what Swami unfolds with that. Does I love this topic, you know, because there is a myth around this not return. You know, even my first Vedanta guru used to not like this and not mention that, you know, this idea of samsara, of a cycle of death and birth and death, and then moksha as the end of rebirth, you know. He never present that concept because it's not popular. People do not like that, you know. And then he used to present like, no, it's just a question. Thoughts appear and disappear in your mind. Everything appear and disappear. And, you know, that is the disappearance, the death. But the scriptures on the macro level says that samsara at that level means almost endless cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. And that comes to an end. But then people do not like that concept. They say, so, but what is in there for me? You know, I want to come back and live a perfect life, a perfect duality, a perfect life experience, you know, in a yuga in which everything is love, everything is beautiful, there is only compassion and prosperity and peace among people. I want that. I don't want to merge in the ocean as water, the unmanifest water, meaning to say water, not as the wave or the ocean. So people do not like this concept. Therefore, it's omitted here and there. So I will reach Brahman throughly. So through, what is this through will reach Brahman? When I read that, I saw maybe that you need to reach Brahman throughly, all the way you have to reach Brahman. I thought maybe that's what he was meaning. I did not have the time to listen to the audio to verify. And then he appears to say that you're gonna reach Brahman by a through knowledge, a complete knowledge. Okay, through having the entire knowledge, you will reach Brahman. And then in the second sentence, he said, not even by a complete knowledge will reach Brahman. But how so? I want to reach Brahman. I was told that jnana knowledge is the key. He said, no, you're not going to reach Brahman by even a truly assimilate knowledge. Through this entire body of knowledge, you're going to be helped to drop the notion that Brahman is something other than yourself and away from you, and you need to travel to some higher lokas and whatnot. But that's not the point. The point is that Brahman can never be accomplished or realized by even the scripture. The scripture is going to only help you to drop these misleading notions that you need to reach Brahman by traveling or by meeting it face to face, like I used to pray. Here Swami says, knowledge, you do not reach Brahman. Through knowledge, you drop the notion. So all these are the important fundamentals of Vedanta. This is beautiful, very fundamental piece here. Fundamentals of Vedanta. You never want to reach enlightenment because your true nature is light, consciousness. So all these are the important fundamentals of Vedanta, which you have to contemplate more and more. Yam prapya nibartant, reaching from one, never reaching that one never returns. Tat manam param dana. We're gonna leave it for tomorrow because I have exceeded our time. And he did not begin touching this subject that I enjoy so much. I tend to have a strange tendency. I like those topics in the Vedanta which are the least popular. And then people do not stick with the teachings with me, you know? It's true.
Well, this is my favorite topic. You know, you've got to get past that addiction to experience.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
But it's very rare to find mature students. That's why Vedanta has destroyed my career as a guru. And then when I moved in Swami Paramarthananda, my career was even further destroyed. Okay. So Mark is still with me. Silvio besides still. We meet tomorrow again the same time. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste.
Thank you, Orlando.
See you tomorrow. Ishvara willing.
Yeah, thank you, Olinda. Great satsang.
Thank
Great
you.
subject matter as well.
Thank you. Highly appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.